Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Jira Life. This is episode 9, and I am flying solo until Rodney figures out where he's at because he's supposed to be here, but we're going to have some fun with it. We'll see where we go. My lights are finally turning on. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about multiple admins. We're going to be talking about having multiple cooks in the kitchen. And what are the thoughts about having a lot of different admins in your Jira environments? So in the comment section here, why don't you join in the peanut gallery? Let us know how many admins do you currently have in your Jira instance? And I'm curious to see who's got the highest number because it's not always a good idea to have a ton of admins. The more admins you have in an environment, well, you're gonna have to stick around to hear our thoughts about it. Mr. Robert, thank you so much for stopping by, and the hopefully the peanut gallery is gonna be that much more active because it's usually very quiet when you're not here, Robert. So excited that you're here. So today's episode is I am not an amazing cook, but I can follow a recipe. And so we're gonna be talking about Jira admins. I am gonna be stalling a little bit. Mr. Rodney is running a little late, not sure where he's at. But if anybody has his number, why don't we all bombard him with a text message and remind him that we got an episode of the Jira Life here. Where you at? So you got Rodney's number. Maybe I should put it in the chat. Everybody text him. No, he'd be very mad at me if I were to do that. Um, so let's go right ahead. We are going to be talking about, is it okay to have 50 Jira admins? We had a post here from our good friends over at Robbie Cigar. He had a post recently where he did talk about admins, right? And is it okay to have 50 Jira admins? And I just wanted to hear your thoughts. I'm going to share a little bit of mine. And obviously, this is a lot more fun when we have Rodney in here. But if anybody else wants to join in the fun, it's going to be a little bit more informal today. And so feel free to let me know. We can definitely fold you in. I got my LinkedIn open, so feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn, and I will be more than happy to give you a link so that you can join us here. Ronnie has and has never, I don't know. Ronnie's a very responsible person. He usually tells me if he's gonna ditch me. This is the first time. Last time he was like running a couple minutes late, so I'm hoping that that's the case this time. But we'll see. We will see. Robert, we'll have to just maybe it's a one man show today. We'll find out. In either case, I'm always ready to go. I'm always ready to talk about Jira. I'm just not sure my voice is gonna be able to hold up this time, because as you can hear, I might need a little bit of water, and I was definitely not prepared to be talking for a whole hour. So let's find out how this goes. Anyway, so Jira admins in the comment section here. Again, I want you to know how many Jira admins are in your Atlassian environment. Highest number is gonna win. I don't know what you're gonna win. You'll win like we'll flash your comment up, but let's make a little bit of fun. And I want to know how many admins you have. Go check out your admin.atlassian.com right now and check and see. The easiest way to essentially find out is if you go in your admin.atlassian.com, and there's many different layers. I always like to tell people there's 5 different layers of admins in Jira or in Atlassian, if you will. And so if you go down to your site admins group, this is probably going to be the safest bet. This is where you're going to want to look, and you want to find out how many site admins are in that site admins group. Now, my personal number is 2, 3, maybe 4 admins is going to be a very, very sweet spot. But once you start going over 5 admins, 6 admins, 7 admins, right? I've seen teams with 20 admins. You're asking for a lot of trouble because there's so many different ways to configure Jira. There is no right or wrong way. I've spent this entire summer speaking with various members of the Atlassian community, many of them being active participants of administrators, right? They do Jira administration for a living, and they all do Jira differently, right? Even though we're all configuring workflows, we're all adding screens, we're all adding custom fields, there's a very subtle uniqueness to the way you do it, the way you name things, the way you delete things, right? The way you clean up, the way you just interact with the tool. And when you have multiple admins, and right here, current client on a migration has 22 admins. Those are 22 different cooks in a kitchen, and they're all chefs, right? These are all alphas, maybe, but they have the power up in alpha. The point is here, when you have multiple admins, not only do they all have their own style and technique and methods of doing work, but they all have the ability to override each other, right? They have the ability to kind of manage Jira in the way that they want to manage it. And if you have an environment where literally there are no rules, right? Where it's wild, wild west, anybody can do anything, since they all have permissions, right? And let me tell you, audits in Jira getting better, but still very, very subpar, right? I've been in environments where like I've spent hours reverse engineering something that somebody accidentally did, right? Hey, Emilio, how are you? Welcome. Excited to have you here. And then we got Dave, of course. What up, Jira Amigos? Oh yeah, we have to come back. So we had I like this Jira Amigos. We had a couple of other offerings. Robert, I think you gave me yours in the comment section of one of the videos. Why don't you post what you were going to be calling the peanut gallery? I think you had an option in here, and then there was a couple of other ones. So if you guys can remember what you were going to do, make sure you drop it in the comment section. I'll drop it. Oh yeah, the Jira accolades that I couldn't pronounce, and I still not can't pronounce it. So that was one of them. Jira animals. That's another good one. I was used to the one that had. I was the one we have over here. I was the one that had to teach them. Yeah. All right. So drop your names. I like these. Although I am gonna. I do like Jeremigos. I like Jeremigos. I think that was a cool one. Although I might have to ship mustaches to everybody here so that we can all be a little bit more Hispanic. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we all get the little fake mustaches. And fun fact. I don't know if you all ever seen the little monkey logo from the Ape Tech channel. That monkey is the second iteration. The very, very first one had a mustache, like me. And but my wife made me take it off. And she's not on the stream today. She's unfortunately took the kids over to the pool because it's actually kind of still very warm in Southern California, and I do not like it. But anyways, back on topic, back on talking about your Jira admins, right? Ooh, Jira ninjas. All right, we got a lot. Peanut gallery. You know what? So I think you can do like special emojis, and maybe we would, or emoticons or whatever that you can do for the chat people. Maybe we will do some special emojis with a little mustache on them, or little monkeys with a mustache. I'm really liking Jira Amigos though. Anybody opposed to Jira Amigos, put it in the chat if you got a better one. Keep dropping your ideas, but we'll put at the end. We are not going to end the stream today without picking a name. And Rodney, if you missed it out, I'm still texting you over here trying to figure out where the heck you are, right? But if you're not here to vote, I'm gonna get to pick what the people pick here. So we got Jira Amigos. Everybody put your favorite one so far, or put a new one if you want. But Jira Amigos is definitely winning so far. So make sure you drop your opinion, drop in whatever name you want down there. So the kids are out. That's why the doors are. Yes. So absolutely. So don't mind the fact that I haven't finished painting. I have a 20-foot ceiling, and that's as far as I was able to get without killing myself. And so we have been, my wife and I, because we're both engineers, we've been literally sitting on this problem for a month and a half, trying to figure out how do we get up there without dying, and obviously without bringing in a professional. So we are in the midst of figuring out that part, but it will hopefully, maybe when it's not so hot either, we'll be able to put that, finish painting that out. So yeah, Robert, when we got to vote for Jira Amigos. I know Jira Amigos is mine. David's voting for it. Anybody else in here? Emilio, Clef, what are your opinions? Are we going with Jira Amigos? Is it scaffold rental? I was thinking about it. I didn't have a truck, but now I got the Model Y, so I think I can put a scaffold in there. We're considering it. We did buy a very, very big ladder, but we're not quite up to the top to where I need to be. But we're not going to turn this into a home improvement show. Although my wife, we did start watching Home Improvement. It's on Disney Plus, and my wife sees so many similarities between me and Tim Allen there. It's kind of bad. So I don't know. Maybe I grew up watching way too much Home Improvement as a kid, and that's why none of my projects ever go well. Anyways, that's a little too much. All right. So back to the admins, right? Back to how many admins should we have, right? And so as we're talking about, when you have too many, we had one of our Jira Amigos tell us that 22 in an instance. I think the highest I've seen is like 16, 18. And that's a lot of people, right? That's a lot of people that can do a lot of changes. And the auditing, as I explained, is not the best. Auditing in Jira is not going to give you a lot of information. And sometimes like big things like deleting a whole project gets tracked and you can watch that. But I have 2 fireable offenses. I have 2 events as an admin that you can do. And if you do any of these, and little throwback to like episode 1, right? In episode 1 or 2, where we were talking about what are my 2 fireable offenses. Can anybody in the Jira Amigos, can anybody remember my 2 fireable offenses? I know Clef, these are personal because I know that you personally have done both of these, and I know that we've spoken about it. And so, um, 2 personal, 2 fireable offenses, right? That are very, very hard to track. They're not that easy to know who did the mistake. And so I really do urge you that to be very, very considerate, right? When you have those many, many admins, it's easy for someone to make a careless mistake, but it's not impossible, but will take a lot of energy and a lot of effort to figure out who broke it, how it was broken, or what was even broken, right? And so my 2 fireable offenses, because I'm not seeing it, you guys are letting me down here in the peanut gallery, is one, making a field required through the field configurations. And then obviously if that field is not available in other screens, then you basically have brought Jira down to its knees, and that poor team is going to be very, very mad at you. So that is fireable offense number 1. And trying to find out who made that, right? Who made that field required, who updated that field configuration. These are not things that the Jira logs track very well, if at all. And so it can be really challenging. I mean, obviously, if you know that it's easy to identify the problem, but who did it, right? Who do you need to train? Who do you need to coach? Who do you need to maybe have a conversation with? That becomes a lot harder, right? And so again, having these site admins and having so many of them just amplifies the probability that something like that will happen. So you want to be very particularly careful in training, right? So we got here with Bob saying it's a training exercise. There'll be admins when I'm gone. I had to teach them how to set up the request. Yeah. So that's another thing, right? Like when you're training folks, right? This is a lot of the stuff that I usually spend is um I spend a lot of time walking and starting off with that one error, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that you can do as a Jira admin, um, but there's a couple of things that will bring down Jira for like 10 minutes, right? So you want to be very, very careful. The only good thing about that mistake that I just told you is that most people will complain in a heartbeat the moment that they can't create Jira issues. So at least getting awareness of when a mistake like that was done is going to be very quick to recover from, but it's still very painful and one that is not one that I would want you to experience. If you've never experienced the phenomenon that is accidentally making a field required at the field configuration level and not having the appropriate field configuration schemes and all that set up and crippling entire Jira for your whole company, then I applaud you, because that I think is your entry. Like when you make that mistake, like that's when I think you've earned your badge to be a Jira admin, because until you make that mistake, you haven't been curious enough in Jira, right? Like you haven't done enough scary things to have earned your badge there. And holy moly, am I going to kick Mr. Ronnie's butt for not being here? This guy leaves me all alone to just run an entire live stream. I'm not the most entertaining person in the world. And we're going to have a talk with Mr. Rodney. My current gripe is too many cooks, not fireable offense, is that someone adds resolutions. Great segue here into like, let's keep talking about different things about having too many cooks, right? Like you have too many resolutions, your priorities can change, right? Somebody can add extra priority values. Somebody can add they can add different statuses, right? The status is probably another big gripe where you have folks that are just adding statuses, right? Like somebody's going to modify a workflow here, somebody's going to modify a workflow there. And the worst part is you're going to have statuses that are like singular and plural, right? Blocked, blocks, right? You're going to have duplicates of this, duplicate custom fields. We're going to be bringing in here. I think somebody's going to come into my aid, to my rescue, because I am really, really very nervous here. Oh, Andy. Hey, Andy. Welcome for being on here. Hi to everyone except for Ronnie. Yeah, of course. Ronnie, you were missed. But thanks, Andy, for tuning in from the train. Always amazing to have people that are in the commute. Hopefully, we can make this fun and entertaining. We're trying to get a guest in here. Hopefully, you can figure out who it is. But somebody from the Peanut Gallery might be joining us here soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed. that they can make it work. But anyways, yeah, having these duplicate values, having duplicate statuses, having duplicate custom fields, right? Not doing those correctly, not doing your due diligence. Does the status already exist? Is there a plural version of it? Is there a singular version, right? You just end up with this like spaghetti mess of a Jira configuration, and it just becomes really, really challenging to clean it up later, right? It becomes something that you got to do, but you got to be very careful, because then you enter a new problem, a new phenomenon where if you go to try to clean up stuff, and this is one of the situations that I'm in right now, right? I did an import, and again, some of these things are accidental. I'm gonna tell you my own personal Jira fail, right? So we're gonna fast forward a little bit in the agenda for today, right? But one of the Jira fails of the week for me is I did an import a couple weeks ago. Oh, hold up. Whoa. Stay tuned. We might come back to that Jira fail. Mr. Robert Wen, we're in the presence of royalty.
Oh my goodness, this is so cool. Okay.
Thank you for saving my butt here and saving the audience, more importantly than anything else.
It saves me. It's going to save me a whole lot of typing, isn't it? So those of you that are in the peanut gallery, please pick up the slack for me, because I'm not going to be typing as much. But.
Yeah. So. Yeah, thank you. So we'll let Claff or Dave just start typing away into the peanut gallery there. But thank you so much. We just converted this into BobTube. That wasn't me. That was all Andy. So thank you again. Oh, sorry, wrong one. We got a special guest here, Mr. Bob. All right. Let's keep talking about these duplicate statuses, right? So I was talking about, you're gonna get folks that are just adding stuff, right? Somebody's got an agenda, they got a requirement, they're gonna go do some change. They don't always do their due diligence.
Right. And that's actually kind of one of the things. There's going to be a lot of duplicate everythings, from like custom fields to how they want to do it. And they may not necessarily decide to set up a field context where you can quote unquote share a field. They may just want their own kind of definition, to where if people go in and you set up a good workflow, and then some people just decide to go in and not bother copying it, just go in there with the workflow and just go around with that kind of hurts me too.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that I was mentioning right when you joined right now, I was kind of fast forwarding to a Jira fail of mine. And this is one that, again, you don't think about it, right? I'm a seasoned admin, and I accidentally did this. Like I screwed up, right? Yeah. And so I was doing an import maybe 2-3 months ago, and I didn't do my due diligence. And so for fun fact, right? So when you're doing an import and your statuses don't exist, Jira won't import that issue. Right. But for all the other fields, it will append those values to the field. Right. So here I am. I have a priority field, and I accidentally import. I didn't vet all the values, right? Because I had like 1,000 items coming in, and I added extra priority fields, or values, I should say, right? So I have one priority field that's global to all Jira, but now I got a bunch of rogue, bogus values that are not my standard. They're not the ones, and I didn't catch it for like 3 months.
And the thing about priority is it's tied to the scheme, right? And it's so you change that, and anybody that's using that priority scheme, you just hit one or more projects,
right?
And
multiple.
It's possible with multiple projects.
But my experience, right? Everybody, unless you go and create a new scheme, the priority is almost always everybody uses it out of the box.
Almost everybody uses the
so you're almost always going to impact almost every project in Jira.
yeah, and that's kind of like the same with the example I had with resolution. Somebody was kind of going in, and I don't think it was on an import, but for some reason, they didn't want the default resolutions. They wanted their own, and then all of a sudden the default resolutions keep magically popping back, and it's like, who's doing this?
That's probably another, like, so again, 22 admins, right? You get into this game of like, I'll go clean it up, somebody pops it back in.
Yep.
I go clean it up, somebody pops it back in. I'm like, who is doing this?
So yeah, so it kind of like reminds me from like a little bit of a scene from the Incredibles, from the first Incredibles movie, where they're recording Mr. Incredible, and he's saying, I just cleaned this mess. Can it just stay clean for 5 minutes?
Or 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, another thing that I was going to mention is on the topic of resolution, right? One of my pet peeves is when somebody puts a status, specifically a done status, that should be a resolution, right? Like deferred or something like that, right? That they use it as an official status. And these are these things, again, right? When you have so many different cooks, they all have the power to kind of create. They have the power to add things where there's a better practice, there's a better way of doing things, right? And again, a little soft spot for you, Bob, right? Going back to our conversation 2 episodes ago, adding block status, right? People are going to be able to have that power instead of following it the right way or following a better best practice.
Yeah. But that one is that kind of got the agile advocate in me, but that can be, you don't necessarily have to be a Jira admin for that block status. That can just be a column, as when you're a board administrator, you could probably map to a blocked column.
So let's talk about something that I've never understood in Jira. And if you guys are all watching and do have a little bit more information, or Bob, I don't want to put you on the spot, right? But one of the things that I've struggled with is this this concept of a simplified workflow.
It's one of those where I think they invented the simplified workflow just to have questions on the certification exams to completely mess with anybody.
We're not monetized yet, so you can use adult language.
So we're gonna put appropriate warnings here.
I think when like on my channel, because it's monetized, right? You gotta disclose that you have adult language.
but on this one, it's like, okay. But so it's really funny. It's like with a simplified workflow, you don't have to be a Jira administrator to modify a simplified workflow. And then once said project admin modifies the simplified workflow, doesn't become simplified anymore.
No, but now you got contaminated workflows.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look who it is. Look who decides to join us. Oh, he's still not ready. But at least he's wearing an elastic. And then he's gone. He kicked himself out. All right. What else? So a couple more pet peeves while Ronnie joins in here. One of the things that I've seen too is, right, like just even adding more license accounts, right? Like being able to add more users or invite users, right? There's a particular setting that I absolutely hate, and I'm sure Atlassian loves it, right? Where when you invite a user with a specific email domain, they're like, we're going to conveniently just be able to let you add any other user that is in this email domain, and they're auto approved, right? And I think that's one of those, like, hey,
finally. Guess what we had right before stream time?
Was it natural disaster related or work related?
Natural disaster. We had some storms blow through, and yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna make it a requirement that y'all got to move to the West Coast to host these, because it's nothing but sunshine outside right now.
Oh, the thing is, it's sunshine right now too.
Well, I won't see rain until October in Southern California. So you should come out to Southern California. I got 4 extra rooms. You can borrow one. Just bring the wife along. You don't have any kids, right?
Nope.
That's gonna be quite the commute for Thursdays, right? Every Thursday, just schlep on over to Southern California.
Yeah. I mean, my work would be happier, but
I think I'm probably 50 minutes away from your work. from my parents' house, I'm probably less than 20. So maybe my mom's got extra room.
Yeah. All right. So what have I missed
So
besides everything?
we've been talking about the multiple admins, and I was sweating up here, and Bob had some pity on, on me just dancing over here, and he's like, "Put me in, coach." So
Much appreciated, Bob.
Yep.
so yeah, thank you very much, Bob. But yeah, no, we were just talking about shoot, I forgot now what I was talking about, Bob. But we were talking about the auto add-in users, right? Like
Auto adding
these,
users. That was going to be one of your
yeah.
pet peeves
So
with
we're just talking about settings that can you carelessly can set them, right? Especially when you're not as trained of a Jira admin, right? You can accidentally invite somebody from some different domain, and all of a sudden that setting's turned on, and then your Jira usage and builds go skyrocket because now people are randomly just joining because that last thing allows for that to happen. But again,
so being somebody that doesn't see on the billing side so much, I know that as far as my clients go, they on their subscriptions it's monthly or annually, and we kind of try and steer our clients to the annual plan. Given that there is kind of that expansion of licensed users, I would imagine that the additional charges get caught up monthly, kind of on a true up when the next billing cycle starts. Is that correct thinking, or is that like they instantaneously charge? And I'm not even sure how they do it on an annual.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the annual because most of the teams that I work with, they're either month to month or they're enterprise. And if they're enterprise, they're paying once a year. And then they have user allocations. So they're prepaying for like 1,000 users, even if they're only using like 500.
Yeah.
But they're paying for all 1,000. But Andy's telling us here, you true up on the cloud. So maybe I guess at the end of the year, the beautiful thing about this though is like if you have a good like customer success agent, right? Like you can negotiate some of this stuff. But yeah, that's good to know then that you true up on the cloud. But it's still annoying, right? Like I think it's again, but just staying on topic or on the point of like there's certain things that just maybe if you're more novice or just kind of starting out, it's a careless mistake, right? And it's kind of the popular theme here. You're carelessly adding an extra status you didn't check. You're carelessly adding an extra resolution you didn't check. And then trying to figure out who the heck did it is almost nearly impossible. So moral of the story is try to keep your Jira admins as low as possible, right? As minimal amount as actually needed so that you minimize the impact of having all these like different environments being altered or just things being changed on you from time to time. Yeah. So on the enterprise, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to play devil advocate here. Look, if you're sitting here and you're spending all day, every day dealing with tickets, that might be the point where we start looking for another experienced admin, because there is such a thing, just like we've been talking about too many, and there's definitely such a thing as that. There's also such a thing as too few.
There is, yeah. No, I mean, if you're drowning in just requests coming in all day, I think I sent a message to somebody today. They pinged me on something. They just wanted access to Jira, and I sent them the right way. It didn't work out, and I finally stepped in, and I was like, I just called them. I'm like, here, let me help you out. And we were just joking around. I'm like, dude, when I have to get involved, it's because it got serious. Because at this point, like, I have such a big team, right? Like, people just gotta. I have a team that will help me out, right? But if they can't figure out and if something gets escalated to me, like something went horribly wrong that I need to get involved.
Yep.
But yeah, the building a team or you got to know when you're drowning, right? You got to know when you have so many changes, so many requests, so many projects, and just getting help, right? And you know what? One thing that I would love to do, but I've never actually interviewed for this position, but I would love to like talk about Jira interview questions. Like, what do you guys usually interview Jira? Because I've never had an interview. I had to talk to a Jira admin the other day, or like we're trying to hire a Jira admin, and my question was like, why do you like Jira? How do you deal when the tickets are ambiguous, right? But I didn't care for the technical skill, right? I'm like, I can give you these 15 steps to follow. That's not a tricky part, but I want to know, can you challenge or can you handle the complexities and ambiguities of these requests that come in?
what I did, and this is off topic. If we really want to go here, I actually have a blog post already about this topic. But
We'll
my
have to do
favorite
it for
thing,
we'll have to do it for episode 10.
yeah, let's just save it. If you guys want to hear what my interview questions are, you'll have to tune back in.
Yeah, let's save it. We'll promote the heck out of it. Figure out how to pass an interview question or a Jira admin interview. I'm sure everybody's going to show up from all corners of the earth. Paying attention now. This would be a great community article in the jobs and career section. I think that would be something that, like, so I don't have a lot of experience, Andy, and I think this would be great. I get this question a lot where, like, I don't, did you guys see Sajid Nair or Nair? The quiz guy, the quiz master himself. He posted up they're hiring somebody, and so I reposted. And as soon as I reposted, like a bunch of people started asking me like questions and details. I'm like, I don't know. I've never had an interview for a Jira admin position. Everybody just kind of looks at my channel and goes, "Here, work."
This is why I really don't repost anymore for open jobs, because people see you posted it, you must know something about it, and start asking you questions that, if you're just reposting, you don't have. Maybe this is just Alex and mine's influencer problems.
I know, right? Like, I've never had an interview. Because like even, I mean, going back through my whole career though, right? Like when I got my first role as a Jira admin, I wasn't asked any Jira questions. I was asked did I know how to manage tools and stuff, because I used to be a version 1 admin and I used to be a Team Foundation server admin. So I had experience administrating tools, but I wasn't asked Jira specific questions. I take that back. I did get asked. I did have one round one time, June 2021. I had an interview for a Jira admin, and they asked me, "Can epics have subtasks?" I posed the question to you guys because I got it wrong. In the chat, Peanut Gallery, can an epic have a subtask?
I mean,
where's my
coin? Do you have like a little?
I want to say that for at least DC, because I don't know if they've changed it for cloud, but for DC they can, but it is discouraged.
I was gonna say
And this is why I tell Atlassian that we need a program to train the trainer.
So I'm gonna put with you can define a child, and then that child could be of an issue type subtask for the epic.
Close, right? So you can, so the workaround that I found is you can define a child like a story task bug, and then you can go to that story task bug and then convert it to go to the actions at 3 dots in the story, hit that actions and convert it to a subtask, and then it asks you who the parent is, so you just simply tell it that the epic ID, and then it'll make itself a subtask of the epic. But there's no like button that lets me straight
right you can't subtask. there's no create subtask.
Correct. You just have to create child.
You have to use the cunning and guile method of
But I got that question wrong. I said no. Like the answer is no. Like technically no. You shouldn't, right? I think going back with Andy hit one here, right? It shouldn't, but it can.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't see the value though, right? Like if you're gonna add a child, your story, that is a subtask.
You just use story. There's one company I was working for that I'll leave nameless, that one of the managers.
Check out Ronnie's LinkedIn profile.
Oh, it's one of them. I've worked Jira for several companies yet now. But one of the managers was really bad about putting subtasks on it. I'm like, dude, I gave you stories. Just use your stories.
Use your story. Another question that I got was context. Like define what a field context is. And I had never used field context in my life. Ever. And that one just stopped me. Anybody want to explain field context for the audience?
Well, this was something that I had talked about before when we were on the previous topic. Is you can completely change how a custom field behaves, either on a per project basis or on a and Peanut Gallery, please chime in and correct me because I am not. As people may attest to on my Atlassian community answers, sometimes I'm a little shy of the mark. So either on a per project basis or for a given project on a per issue type basis, you can change things like how a custom field behaves, like perhaps what type of values it accepts.
Right. Or displays.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a very common. I just didn't know that, right? I didn't know context.
You
was
could
a thing.
also use the context to define what projects you could see a given field in. So obviously we're used to global context. That's not considered best practice anymore because of performance hits. But you could say, okay, for this custom field, I only want to show up on this one specific project or this subset of projects, thus keeping it having to be indexed for every issue in your system.
I hadn't even considered that either. That's all crazy. The one thing that I don't want to say that I'm afraid of it, but the one thing that is always like doesn't settle well with me is when I'm gonna go use a custom field that has multiple contexts in an automation rule. And I'm like, how does it know which one is the right one? Like, how does it know? It always I've never taken the time to just sit down and like test the permutations and possibilities there. But that's always a great area for me. All right, so that was basically, thank you, Robbie, for influencing this article here of is 50 Jira admins too many admins? The highest number that we hit here in the peanut gallery was 22. I think I had like 16, 18, and 1. Ronnie, what's the most amount of Jira admins you've seen in a Jira instance?
I'm not going to name a company because this was something I did a contractor for. Well, that's the thing. What I'm saying here is I actually tried to count them out and I lost count.
Ooh.
So I don't know the number. I just know it was large enough for me to lose count.
Yeah, Alex. So this was for cloud. Alex just in originally posing this question, you were off probably having internet problems. That's our official excuse for why you were late. You and your never-ending cycle of internet issues.
I've actually found the problem. I just need to get the stuff to fix it, and that's next week.
But on the cloud side, Alex recommended seeing how many users you had in your site admins group on your Atlassian cloud. So. And
then I think it might warrant a second here to kind of break down. I like to tell people there's 5 types of admins in an Atlassian environment, right? Starting off with your org admins all the way at the top. And I really do feel like org admins are the most valuable when you have multiple instances of Jira under that same org, right? Because then you can hop around and automatically be a site admin in all those sites, right? And
they're really helpful with, okay, if you have multiple sites, user A goes to site A, user B goes to site B, and
but then you yourself can hop around very easily.
Oh yeah, you can go to any site you want.
Yeah. Then so that's the org admin, right? And then obviously they're going to make org level like selections, like enabling Atlassian Access, adding more products, enabling the sandbox. By the way, so you do need to be an org
admin. Have to be the org admin to do the sandbox
to spool one up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that, right? Security, help me out with SSO stuff, right? Like all those kind of domain verification,
access, funness,
right? So all that org admin, super powerful role, right? Then we got the site admins, which are specific to the URL of the Jira and Confluence instance that you're working out of, right? So you will be able to administer both Jira, Confluence, and any other product you have in there within that instance, which is like Jira Product Discovery, Jira Work Management, Jira Service Management, right? And obviously Jira and Confluence. Those are usually at that level, I think, is what I'm usually comfortable giving that power out to some very trusted few individuals, right? But most companies, I think, make the mistake of giving everybody that power. Or no? What do you guys think?
That's kind of I think that's kind of true. It's you're going to give that, and then they can control not just the single product, but any of them that are
within the
allocated to
URL.
that site. So
yeah, and they still have access to user manipulation, billing.
Yep.
Right. So then we come down another step, and we have the administrator. So that one's going to be able to basically do all the Jira administration stuff like workflows, fields, screens, priorities, permissions, all that good stuff. But you remove the user management aspect of it.
Yep.
Okay.
So those of you studying up for any Atlassian certifications, that is technically called the product admin. So
or the group just administrator.
Yeah,
in Jira. All right. And then you bring it a step down from that, and then we have the Jira admin, Jira-admin, and we have the Confluence-admin, which now these are product specific admins. Right? So you're not gonna be able to touch everything else. You're very siloed to just the product that you have the administrative. I had to hop off the train. We'll catch up at the end of the podcast. Thank you, Andy, for coming.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to do some more entertaining things like hopping on one foot, rubbing your stomach, and tapping your head.
Alex wants me to fall now.
I'm standing up too. I can jump and. All right. So that's your Jira admin. So I think if you need to give somebody admin rights, but you want to at least maybe silo it, right? Maybe not give them the Confluence part, then the Jira admin might be the right route there, right? And so that'll be for layer number 4. And the final layer, and this is really probably the least dangerous one to give out, is the project level administrator, right? Somebody that for their Jira project.
Caveat,
hit me with it.
Team managed projects.
I was gonna bring up about team managed projects. You know,
what do you mean? Wait, what does that mean though?
Is it actually 5A where you said it was kind of the safest. I'm kind of I'm wondering if there's like 5A, which is administrator of a team managed project. It's like, okay, you go off into your own little playground, and I'm never gonna bother with you ever again.
Yeah.
No, but a project level administrator is defined only in that project, in a company managed project too, though. They can't be the administrator of another Jira project unless you explicitly.
No, but the project admin of a team managed project still has a lot more power than a project admin of a
they can
I see, because they can go and add issue types and fields and all that stuff.
Yeah.
See, I don't even spend enough time in the team managed project to even bother for that.
Yeah, this is those of you in the peanut gallery studying for those Atlassian certs. These are like standard kind of questions that they'll go through.
And they're tricky unless you actually go and do this stuff for a living, right? Unless you're in there playing around with these things, like you just don't really know. And then one last comment on all these administrative things though, but my train of thought left me and I'm trying to bring it back, but it's not coming back, so I'm just going to drop the subject because I totally lost it. But it has something to do with admins and the 5 levels. So what I typically do for everybody else is I always go in and unenable or disable the ability to create team managed projects a la carte or at will.
That's that's smart.
That for some reason Atlassian leaves that as public, and it's always on for everybody. So everybody, if you're listening to this, go to your gear in the top right corner, click on system, go to global permissions, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom of that list and look where it says create team managed projects. On the far right, it's going to say public. Delete that stuff right now. And maybe just add your site admins or something, right? Just get rid of that public though, because then that means anybody and everybody's going to be able to create projects. And kind of circling it back to the beginning of the topic, right? Now you're going to have all these projects that you're like, how are these even popping up when you think that only the admins can create them?
So something along those lines. I mean, something that I do, in a brand new instance, I like to do as an admin. It's and you just mentioned your first thing. What I like to do is I like to go into the default permission scheme, and I like to disable delete issues except for admins.
That's already there though, no?
No, everyone gets delete issues.
No. What kind of the project administrator will be able to delete issues, and you get to control who becomes a project administrator.
That's a change then, because old school Jira, anyone on a default instance can delete an issue.
Yeah,
not in the cloud. To delete, at least out of the box, right? And we can go stand up a brand new Jira right now, right? But to delete a issue in a brand new permission scheme, it's dedicated to the role administrator, right? So then you get to go and put who you want to give that role to.
Oh, you're saying that the project role administrator is there, but
not like any logged in user or anything like that. That's
the
not
permission node delete issue though is usually tied to anyone in the project.
Not that I've seen that. Ooh, dun, dun, dun. We should have like a battle off.
This is for this is like standard betting material, right? For
Yeah,
the dollar bet.
No,
what's the over under?
That's what I've seen in all my projects, right? So I've always seen it like that, because one of the first things that I do is the browse permission, which is supposed to change, but it hasn't changed yet, right? What I like to, the way at least I preach it, right, is if you can control your browse project permission and put the right people in it, then the rest of the permissions don't really matter that much, because if they can't get into the project, then they can't mess around with all the other stuff. So I leave the any logged in user, because it's not any logged in user to your instance. It's very misleading. It's any logged in user once they got into your project. But do you guys have thoughts on that, or experiences or observations? I can take a hit.
I like that. I think everybody knows that browse permissions is the kind of the gatekeeper. You got to have that one first,
right? Start with that
before you can do any harm on a project, like creating or viewing or editing, transitioning, closing,
right?
Deleting.
But once somebody is in the project, because the other problem that I have is, like, I don't like when folks, and this is maybe a little bit more polarizing, right? But I don't like it when people want to come into a permission scheme and like lock it up real tight. Because I'm like, the whole point of Jira is to be a team, folks. Like, right? Impossible alone, possible together, whatever that last minute, right? And when you start siloing it up, then you start creating the impossible alone.
That's true, but then there are things that are a little on the esoteric side, right? And I'm gonna go with the managed sprints. That's going to be for a very, very specific role on a software team, right? Scrum master and or product owner. They create a custom role for them so that they can decide, or they can set up, the appropriate boards and filters to go with defined sprints, that they open or they close.
Yeah, so I agree with that one, right? So again, it's a matter of like how much trust that team has and how well people are going to stick to their swim lane, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the situations that I'm in, they all know the Scrum Master is the one that's going to go create the sprints. They don't go into the backlog and start randomly creating sprints. You can control it, but you don't have to. At least in my opinion, right? Like, I think it really does come up to a lot of the team dynamic, and maybe I'm an optimist, right? That folks will just.
I think also depends a little bit on industry. Like my day job, if something can leak, it will more than likely leak if given half a chance.
But that's because everybody wants to know what you guys are doing.
I mean, yeah, I get it. But it also means that we really have to have our permission segmented, so only the people who are supposed to see stuff.
Maybe I come from a classified life, right? And that need to know, man, is just like, I feel like it's like if you want to destroy team culture, like put some need to knows in your company.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It drives me crazy because I come from a Atlassian admin background where collaboration should be the default, not secrecy. But I also
Impossible
get,
alone, possible together.
but I also see where my company comes from and goes like, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on that company. So we got a couple minutes left. Maybe should go over to another segment. Ronnie, you had a LinkedIn post here? Scammers using
Yeah.
JSM?
Yeah, I got an interesting email this past weekend. I'm kind of cut it out. I'm going to share my screen real quick once I get everything
How does
set
this
up.
work? We got 4 people.
We'll find out.
Or 3 people plus the screen. Oh, look at that. We
Right,
all
there
on
it
the side.
goes. So I got this email. I cut out so you don't see it. This is an old email. I know it's known by scammers. I do get scam emails on there before. I know what to look for, so I usually just ignore it. So I'm like, wait, that's new. So I went to a sanitary PC. This is the accept invite. All this was actual Atlassian email. What you expect if you were actually getting an invite because it was legit.
Yeah, this looks very much like an
Oh,
actual.
Because it is. I mean, it is from Atlassian.
It's a
That's why I did-
screenshot of a legitimate
Yeah.
image, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah.
the
I mean,
logo's
obviously,
off.
I don't want to show you the entire email because it does have my email address, and it's one of the ones I'd like to keep a little more private.
So Ronnie, before you even continue, at the beginning, since you weren't coming, I was about to put your phone number into the chat so everybody would call you. But then I'm like, he might not like that.
Well, I mean, if I wasn't getting your text, which they all came out in like about 5 minutes ago, by the way.
Oh, they barely just came in.
Yeah. But anyways, when I clicked the invite, because on a sanitary machine where things weren't going to get corrupted, I got this, an actual Atlassian instance.
Okay, so that makes sense why it looks legit because it's coming from an Atlassian legitimate source, though, right? Well, illegitimate source, but the process.
It's going to create a legitimate site or org.
Yeah,
but a rogue one at
with
that.
a random bunch of letters. But what are they doing with the rest of that?
I don't know what the scam is.
I would assume it has to do with
know.
your login. No, maybe a redirect to when you log in. Maybe because they couldn't.
No, I think what they're probably trying to do is get a hold of. Let's say you have Bitcoin, trying to get a hold of your private key or something. Take advantage of someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, or maybe just some free money, which is not free money. It's going to end up costing you, but still.
So you know what I do, because I get invited to a lot of Jiras all the time. I don't even acknowledge those emails anymore. I like literally just click on the little grid, and if it shows up on my list, like then I'm in. It's the only way I log in now.
Yeah. So this actually kind of coincides with a topic that I saw on Reddit, which means that it's probably kind of, it isn't just Rodney. It's probably a number of other people. The way they spotted that this was probably some sort of phisher was that the email address came out to e.atlassian.com. That was the domain. The email came from blah 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 at e.atlassian.com, and that kind of tipped off the antenna. That this wasn't a legitimate request. So.
Mm-hmm.
You just gave me a great idea for cybersecurity teams out there. Send an illegitimate or a phishing scam of a Jira update to your team. See if they'll click on it. Because I'll click on it. You know how many emails I get on a daily basis from Jira about an issue being updated or status being updated? Like I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'm gonna talk to some Jira cybersecurity folks that I know. Like send one of these out.
So yeah, I've been trying to get the word out saying, hey,
careful where you
click. Careful where you click. The bots are using Jira now.
That's crazy. I have not seen this at all, by the way.
No. It's my first time seeing something like this too, but considering that the Atlassian cloud for small use cases are free, you could probably just farm these in mass with just random strings, which looks like exactly what they did.
So you would think Atlassian, don't they put like a capture or something in there when you're coming up with the sites? Atlassian, if you're watching this, this shouldn't have made it even past Atlassian's like create a site.
You would think, but here we are.
The part that I'm most alarming to me is why is your like are you logged into this thing?
It is, but it's a throwaway account.
It looks just like your real account.
Rodney's got burner Jira accounts.
I mean, you joke, but as many times as I don't run different experiments for different blog posts, yeah. There's one point I ran out of data center licenses, trials for experimentation, so I had to start a new account.
Yeah, I made an account for like TikTok, and like I keep getting emails that are saying like, if you don't log into your TikTok Jira Atlassian.net or whatever I had, it's gonna go away. I'm like, oh yeah, I made one of those. They make it really hard to regain though. By the way, like it's painful. Folks, if you make a Jira account, make sure you keep logging into it. Oh, by the way, Ronnie, you probably missed the most important part. We got a couple minutes left here, 4 minutes. And let's do this.
So, as somebody who already voted, I want to say to David, sorry, no backsies.
No backsies. But Jared, okay. So Ronnie, I don't know if you have I don't know if it shows you the history in the comments here, but we had a couple people start talking about the name of the peanut gallery, folks. And right now we have the one I can't pronounce from Dave, which was Jira Acolytes, something.
Yeah, Jira Acolytes.
That one, Jira Acolytes. And then, but David came up with this best one that I think, and I was thinking we can give everybody a little mustache, and that is the Jira Amigos. And then we have Jira Animals from Bob. And then Clef gave us Jira Ninjas.
And Clef has actually updated their choice with Jira House.
Jira Powerhouse.
I mean, we could always call them giraffes.
Giraffes. Oh, you and your Jira Avengers.
Well, the runaway winner was Jira Amigos.
Yeah, Jira Amigos was ringing.
Yeah.
Was what had like several people voting, including myself. So I would withdraw Jira Animals.
So what we will have to do, Bob, though, to make it even more official, is we got to be like the three of us on every episode to make it like the three amigos. then we got
Bob, I think you just got recruited.
I just got
either that or Ronnie and I are always gonna have to have like a third guest on every single one of these. By the way, I'm still like star. That
was quite a good episode last week with
Jens.
Yeah.
With Jens.
Yeah, so we talked, and he's agreed to come back on in a couple months to do a part 2. And so I was very excited.
Wait, I will give up my video spot here and just kind of give referential reverential questions on from
the peanut gallery.
Spot in the peanut gallery. Reverend.
Yeah, the peanut gallery is just not the same without you, Bob. Though.
Yeah.
Hopefully, your emergency from last week was okay.
It was fine.
Okay.
It worked out.
So, last couple minutes. Anybody, any questions, Mr. David? I know you all got questions. So, if anybody has any Jira questions, this is the place to ask them. And of course,
that's a question.
Can we get a Jira themed dance party going on in the chat? We were.
That's up to the denizens of the peanut gallery. I'm here and I am off keyboard. So
off keyboard duty.
Yeah. So in the spirit of agile, it's the peanut gallery must self manage and self actualize.
I know, right? Yeah. Do it. And Mrs. Graphics, you should do us some what we can do, like emoticons or something, right? For special things for members of the community. I think that's a thing, no? where people
We
can
might have
stop.
to be a wee bit bigger to get that, but I've
We'll have
seen
to take
it.
a look. Yeah, we'll have to take a look. But I would like to make some emoticons or something for people, especially as we keep growing, right? We get more and more people in here watching this. So, anyways, it's 3:00 Pacific time, 6:00 Eastern. What else do we got? Should we just close this one out?
I think so.
I think we're closing it out. Thank you, Ronnie, for being considerate and joining us. We are gonna bring you back next week with we'll pick up this. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll pick up the segments all again next week. But for now, we are done. And so, Ronnie, why don't you? Where's your closing statements? Are you gonna fake it this time?
Well, thank you everyone for listening. My friend here is Alex, the Jira Giraffe Ortiz. You can find his YouTube channel at Alex Tech Tutorials, all one word. This week, he had
wait, we gotta pause it. We got a question.
Oh, we got a question.
We got a question. We gotta stop the press.
All right.
Any tips or tricks on how to edit existing workflows? Make a copy.
Yeah, exactly. And actually on cloud, you cannot change. You cannot add statuses without making a copy. You can't do it
reverse.
on a.
You can't add a transition.
Right.
You can add statuses. You can't add transition to the status.
Yeah.
And you can't remove a status without making a copy. Well, let me rephrase. You can't add transitions and you can't remove statuses in an active workflow. It's got to be an inactive, which means you're working off of a copy.
Which means you're making a copy.
Yeah. That's basically what it is.
I guess my advice would be then start out in the diagram mode, but don't be afraid to use text because it really is a great way to show, okay, what are all the transitions going from a given issue or given status.
Text mode is my double check. Yeah.
What? I don't use text mode. I would burn text mode down if we could.
So
I don't know how to read it. I don't know how to use it. So
there are times it's critical if you want to see, because transitions can overlap, and especially if you have dual direction transitions.
No. They only overlap if you don't know how to draw your lines like Picasso.
Oh, no. It's
you have never managed someone else's workflow, sir.
Sir, if your workflows have that many transitions, then you got to recheck your life.
Oh, the problem is they weren't my workflows. I'm just the one who took them over.
Just burn them down, start all over.
And sometimes Jira's kind of puts the hand on top of your hand, kind of guiding you, and you know, it just draws the arrow however it wants anyway. And it's like,
I got one more here for Emilio. I don't know, Bob, and Ronnie, I love you guys' opinions on this, but I am of the opinion that if you're gonna make a new workflow, I start with an existing workflow. So I make a copy of an existing one, because I have found that when you start fresh, like with a blank canvas, and this might be a victim of, again, Bob, of our simplified workflow dilemma from earlier. But when you start with the fresh new one, the bottom right corner post function for resolving your done status doesn't apply, or is not applicable, or is not applied.
Yeah, that's something you have to add or use a default workflow for.
But if you're making a copy of one that already has it, then you basically have, unless you, of course, go and fudge around with your done statuses, right? But that's one thing that if you're not careful, right, and you do start with a new one, your post function for resolving that issue when it gets to that done status might not be set. And if it's not set, you're going to be very, very mad when you have a crap ton of issues that are done, but they're all still on your board.
Yep. One of my favorite tricks is, rather than have it auto set, just have it pop up. You can have it auto set.
The resolution. Oh yeah. That's always
resolution auto set.
That's always
just
my
do a
favorite
pop up
way.
and let them select it.
That's always my favorite. But now another tip to that, right, is it's an or statement here, folks. It's not an and. You don't want to do the pop up plus the auto set because it'll overwrite it. I've done that
Mhm.
many times. Where so don't do both.
I also like not starting with a blank canvas and just copying existing ones, because sometimes it decides for you what you want as the first open state. Is it open? Is it new?
Oh yeah, is it
And so it's
new?
like, you know what? I don't want to hear it from my clients. I'm just gonna find find an existing workflow, make a copy of it, delete all the statuses I don't need, delete all the transitions I don't need, and then build from there. Just
Yeah.
so I can have the first status be what the client wants.
Mhm.
So two things in here. So the auto set for clef, right, is we're talking the post function, right? You have a post function there that's gonna set the resolution
Set-
to done or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the set system field post function. You want to select the field resolution and then select the setting, whatever resolution you want for that status. Ideally done, because you're done.
So that's auto set, right? So do that or eliminate
Or
that, and on
very
the
big
transition,
or.
very very big or on the transition to done, you give the pop up, and there's already a built-in screen called like Resolve Jira or something like that.
Yeah, the
That'll-
resolve screen is kind of the out of the box ones.
Yeah, and so it'll give you the options that are in your resolution and your global settings. But that was
Yeah, that used to not be a out of the box screen. That used to be one we have to create ourselves.
really, I've been using that since like 2016.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing in 2014.
Okay. There was another one that I wanted to mention, but now I'm getting old.
So also any as far as like workflows go, you have that done state or your closed state or that last state. If you transition out of that back into somewhere in the workflow, make sure that transition includes a post function to clear the resolution.
Yeah, to clear it out.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're not working off of a existing one that's out of the box, it's not going to clear it for you.
And you're still going to have a bad day.
Yeah. Okay, so Bob, I remember what I was going to say. The second thing. So you all remember that whole? So you brought it up when you said open, right? I think when you do click new, open is the default first status. But I don't think I was wrong when I still keep saying that. There's a typo on Atlassian's website with the whole statuses that are just displayed in the when you go create a new project. You told me that it was a project category, but it's not a project category. It's a statuses, and they're wrong.
No, but yeah, and you actually raised a counterpoint, and this is an open advertisement for anybody still in the peanut gallery to, by all means, go and listen to the show archives, because this is what for
episode like 2 or 3 when I was complaining about this.
But yeah, and you actually raised the point, and I concede that point where because you mentioned a different
So I mentioned that when you go to create a new project in Jira, and you go to the navigation, you go to project, create project, you pick software. There's 3 now. Now I think they added a 4th one too recently, right? But there's Kanban and Scrum, which are the 2 most popular Agile ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the available statuses on the right for your workflow, the Scrum one is going to be to do, in progress, and done. But the Kanban one also tells you to do, in progress, and done. But that's not what you get when you click on it. You get backlog selected for development, in progress, and done. So I keep saying that there's a mistake on Atlassian's website. Bob was saying that it was based on the status category, which is to do, in progress, and done. But if you look at the bug tracking one, which is that 3rd option on there, they have an in review one. And that's not a status category, because you can only have the first 3 status categories. So I don't think it was a status category, but who knows? I know somebody that might know. We might have to bring him back, Mr. Yen.
Likely, I could see that.
I'm sure he likes to watch the replay of these, so I'm sure he'll let us know. He'll call me. he'll make sure. He's very good at letting me know when something's not right. In fact, that's how we got him on the episode, because he's like, Alex, you actually didn't. You missed a few points there. let me go set the record straight, and so that's why he agreed to come on. So I'm sure if he knows, he'll let us know. So anyways, we are 9 minutes over. Thank you everyone very much for sticking around in the peanut gallery. Ronnie, now I think we're clear. So take it away. Finish it up.
All
Let us
right.
know
So
what
as I was
next.
saying, my friend here is Alex Ortiz, the Jira Giraffe.
Jira Giraffe.
You can find his channel on YouTube at ApeTech Tech Tutorials, all one word. This week, he actually introduced us to a Portuguese YouTuber doing Jira content.
Brazilian who speaks Portuguese.
A Brazilian who speaks Portuguese. That's right.
Wait, don't all Brazilians speak Portuguese?
Who?
Don't all Brazilians speak Portuguese?
Yes,
yes
but they're
and
not
no.
Portuguese.
Are
we gonna get into the difference between what's the difference between a Hispanic and a Latino? Y'all know the difference?
I do know the difference, but we really should close
I'm almost
afraid. Continuing on, my name is Rodney. You can find my website at the Jira Guy. This week, I actually introduced you all to the beta version of Whiteboards for Confluence,
which I think is
a lot
official
of fun
now.
That.
I think the beta is now. You can go turn it on. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
you can.
Anymore.
Yeah, you can now go turn it on. Feel free, play around with it. It's actually a lot of fun to play with, to be honest.
I liked it. I made 2 videos on it. It was fun.
Our special guest is Bob Wen, the other half of the Jira Avengers. Thank you, Bob, for subbing in for me when I was having internet issues. Tell us where we can find your stuff.
So you can always find me on LinkedIn. You can find me in the Atlassian community. And yes, I can give another plug to my book, right? So
of course, every time.
Absolutely.
If you happen to be DevOps inclined or safe inclined, I actually wrote a little book here.
Just a little 300 pager. No,
just a little 300 pager.
Just nothing.
Yeah. Called Safe for DevOps Practitioners. So on Amazon and wherever all books are sold. So thanks for allowing me to sub in, Alex.
I'm thankful to you. You're the one that saved my butt. I'm over here dancing, trying to figure life out. I haven't done a single person live stream in a very long time. So
yeah.
Oh, by the way, for everybody listening, there will be a 10,000 subscriber live stream sometime in September for ApeTech. So we're gonna start getting. I think once I hit 9,000, I'm gonna start planning it out. But I'm at 8,400 right now. So we're
24-hour guys. We should pressure him to do a 24-hour stream.
24-hour stream when I hit 10,000 subscribers. Ooh, I gotta go potty.
Ooh.
I gotta get.
That's when you have guests.
That's and 24-hour live stream. That means that you could hit Sajid at the appropriate time.
We're 12 hours and a half.
You follow the sun. You get Fun Man Andy back. You get Chris Cook back. You
get Brittany. You just follow the sun.
Yeah.
You got
right back with me.
Bob. Then you get
I need somebody to know, and then we can get Jens over in Australia.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, you start with Jens, right? Because he'll be the first in that 24-hour, and then follow the.
Right, we're gonna put this together, folks. We're gonna put this up. But 10,000 subscribers, something's coming. I also appropriately still have my banner when I got the 1,000 subscribers last year, so I'm just gonna go get another circle for the actual 0. So all right.
You can catch this. Yeah. You can catch us when we record these podcasts live, pending any weather issues, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, at youtube.com/@thejiralife. Be sure to join us and the other Jira Amigos and ask questions, get answers, laugh with us. If you can't join us live, you can find the podcast on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. If you think the podcast deserves rating, please rate us 5 stars. It really helps us get the word out. And remember, as always, we didn't choose the Jira Life. Jira Life chose us.